Hello, boys and girls. In lesson 5.1, part 2, we will convert rational numbers by applying the given rules. Let's begin exploring by converting each of these percents into a decimal and then into a fraction. As we saw in the previous lesson, lesson 5.1, part 1, in order to convert a percent into a decimal, we would take the decimal point in the number, move it 2 places to the left. Therefore, 20% is equal to 0.2. When we do the same to 63.5%, move the decimal 2 places to the left, and we get 0.635. To convert a percent into a fraction, we would simply put the percentage over 100. So 20% is equal to 20 over 100. Let's not forget, though, we must always reduce our fractions. So in this fraction, 20 over 100, my zeros can cancel out, leaving me with 2/10. And I know that 2 can go into both 2 and 10, therefore leaving me with 1/5 as a fraction. To change 63.5% into a fraction, we would write 63.5 over 100. But now that's silly to have a decimal in your number, in your numerator as a fraction. Therefore, I'm going to get rid of it by multiplying the top and the bottom by 10, giving me 635 over 1,000. Again, we must reduce. So both the top and the bottom can be divided by 5 to reduce, giving me 127 over 200. In the next slide, we will be converting those fractions into a decimal and then also into a percent. To convert 3/5 into a decimal, we divide the numerator by the denominator. When we do this on our calculator, we get 0.6. Again, we will divide the numerator by the denominator. 1 divided by 4 will give me 0.25. To change a fraction into a percent, we can use proportions. So we can compare 3/5 to a number over 100 because a number out of 100 is represented by a percent. When I cross multiply, I get 5x is equal to 300. And when I divide by 5 on each side, x will be 60. Therefore, my percentage for 3/5 is 60%. Let's try the same thing with the other fraction. 1 out of 4 is equal to a number out of 100. When I cross multiply, I get 4x is equal to 100. When I divide by 4 on both sides, my result is that x is equal to 25. Therefore, 1/4 is equal to 25%. Finally, in my last slide, we will be converting the following decimals into a percent and then into a fraction. Remember that in order for me to convert a decimal into a percent, we will move the decimal point over 2 places to the right. Therefore, 0.13 will equal 13%. 0.59, when moving the decimal point right 2 spots, will give me 59%. To convert a decimal into a fraction, we could simply read the decimal as a fraction. So that decimal, 0.13, is read as 13 hundredths because the 1 represents the tenths place, the 3 represents the hundredths place. When we write 13 hundredths as a fraction, we would have 13 over 100. That cannot be reduced and therefore stays as is. When we read 0.59 correctly as a decimal, we would read it as, well, the 5 represents our tenths, the 9 represents our hundredths, which is our biggest decimal unit. Therefore, we would read it as 59 hundredths. Again, 59 over 100 cannot be reduced, so that is our final answer.